Good morning, Brittany. I'm Bill Roden from ESPN Anscape, and it's really great to see you. It's good to know the prayers have been answered. The question, you've always represented so much throughout your entire career about access and, being able to do stuff. And I hate to put one more thing on your plate, but there are a number of states who are aggressively moving to prevent transgender athletes playing. And I was wondering, again, I hate to put one more thing on your plate, but in terms of on your radar, where is that? You're going to have a tremendous platform, but where is that going to be on your radar in terms of advocating for, athletes, all athletes, transgender athletes, to be able to play?
Oh, I mean that ranks high on the list of things that I'll be fighting for and speaking up against. Everyone deserves the right to play. Everyone deserves the right to come here, sit in these seats, and feel safe and not feel like there's a threat or they can't be who they are or like it's just all eyes on them. So I think it's a crime, honestly, to separate someone for any reason. So I definitely will be speaking up against that legislation and those laws that are trying to be passed for sure.
All right, so y'all just heard that, or y'all just saw this video right here. Britney Griner basically being asked a question at a press conference about should transgenders be able to play in women's sports. And as y'all know, I have been talking about this on my channel for quite some time now. And it's crazy because here I am, a guy who's speaking on an issue that I feel more women should be speaking on. Sorry about that, I had to refresh the page right quick. But anyway, hopefully there's no more issues. But here I am as a guy speaking on an issue I feel more women should be speaking on. But since it seems like I'm in the minority when it comes to this topic, I'll continue to talk about it. And the irony of it is I just did a video talking about how the GOP was trying to, or maybe they already have, I'm not sure because I haven't looked at it into it since then. Since I made the video, they launched a bill protecting biological women's sports from people who identify as trans from entering into it. We have heard so many stories, horror stories of, especially if you think about contact sports like MMA, where one of them was fighting a biological woman and hit her so hard, she ended up cracking her skull. You literally, at the end of the day, are putting people, women in particular, or girls for that matter, in dangerous situations when they're playing against biologically, genetically born men. It doesn't matter how much surgery they get. Some of them don't even go all the way with the surgery. They'll go halfway, and I'll leave it right there. But they still have the genetic makeup of that of a man. They still have the testosterone levels. They still have the muscle endurance and all the other capabilities that a man has genetically of that over that of a woman. And people just can't seem to see that. Now, here you have Britney Griner, whose voice is about as deep or probably deeper than mine. Yes, that is their real voice. Who spent a good chunk of last year in Russia for something very minute and had people advocating and fighting for them to come back over here. And one of the first things they want to talk about in a public platform since they've been back is the fight to get more trans into biological women's sports because you feel that they should not be separate. I saw a lot of people in the comment section of this video saying, send her back to Russia. As a matter of fact, that was one of the first comments that I saw under this video when I first was looking at it. And you know what? It's crazy to think about this because I saw a video, someone tagged me in a video on Twitter that echoes why this is not a good idea. I'm not going to play the video on here because this video will end up being age restricted at the very least. But I'll describe to you what it was. There was this video where you had this person who identified as trans, but when you look at him, you can clearly tell that's a whole dude who got into a fight with a biologically born female at a school because they told them that they could not use the female bathroom. They couldn't use the girls' room or the ladies' room, however you want to phrase it. This person got so upset with them that they was trying to fight them and actually got some hits in, and it was so scary, in fact, because they were outside. This dude was so aggressive with this girl that he almost slammed her head into the side rail of some metal stairs. He was very close to her hitting her head, and she could have got a concussion, and just started going in on her because she said, "You're not allowed to come into the women's restroom." And he got that upset. They had to pull him off. It took the girls on her team to try to pull. They were struggling to get him off of her. So that's how you know there's a body difference. There's a genetic makeup difference. It took about 5 of them girls to slightly pull this dude off of this one girl. Like, they had to hit him a couple of times to try to weaken him, and even that wasn't working so much. It wasn't until it was I think it was another grown man that had pulled her off, and then there was another guy or another boy there who kind of like mushed him, and then that so-called trans tried to fight the boy. So yeah, and I saw that video literally probably a good 5 or 10 minutes before I came across this video. So it was like divine intervention right here. Be careful what you ask for is all I'm saying. Now, here you have Britney Griner, who sounds like a straight up man. I'm telling you, if you close your eyes, you would swear, you would think that Britney Griner was a man, because her voice is very, very, very deep. Who's advocating for trans to get into women's sports, a sport that she's already in, might I add. It's like, do you even take into consideration what your teammates are going to feel about this? The ones that probably were advocating for you to come home, and now you're trying to advocate for this? You heard what she said. She said, after that man asked that question, she said, "Oh yeah, this is at the top of my list." She said it's at the top of her list of priorities, which means that's what she's actively fighting for right now. And in case you don't know, she plays for the Phoenix Mercury out there in Arizona. Like, this is crazy right here. I don't care how anybody feels about it. This is wrong in every facet. All because you want to be included. Listen, we just say, if you want to play sports, create your own league. Then there will be no issue. What's wrong with that? Oh, you know why they won't create their own league? Because they know they won't get the support. So what they're going to do is try to infiltrate into what's already established. Look at what happened with Leah Thomas. Couldn't cut it with the men. Sucked as a man competing against other men in swimming. So what do? Become a trans and compete against the women and start winning all these awards and breaking all these records. That's what's literally going to happen. They are going to make a mockery of women's sports. And it's sad enough because women's sports now, as it is, isn't taking that serious right now. You have a few standouts, but you don't have a standout as a collective as opposed to men's sports. You got to ask yourself one question. Why is it that the trans women, quote unquote, are trying their hardest to be in women's sports, but you don't find the trans men, quote unquote, trying to be in men's sports? Because deep down, those trans men know that they're biologically women and they will get crushed out there. The only thing that kills me when it comes to the trans men is when they get pregnant and they try to say men can get pregnant. That's when I really have to step in and say, hold on, hold your horses, park the car, put it, stop it, turn off the engine, take the keys out, and we're going to try this thing again. But with the trans women, they literally are colonizing women's sports. And the reason why, even though some people may not care about women's sports, and it is what it is, you feel how you feel. The reason why you need to get on this now, whether you like women's sports or not, is because it starts off with just getting into women's sports, and then it transcends into something else that women really like. Imagine they have a Victoria's Secret fashion show and one of the models walking down the runway is a trans model. All it takes is one. Then one turns into two, two turns into five, five turns into a dozen, and after that, it's taken off. Look at a lot of these panels they have that's supposed to be catered to women. You have a lot of them on there that's on these panels that's supposed to be for women. Why are they there? They've never lived the female experience. And when I say female experience, I'm talking about from the time they were born to the time they are aged are now. Because no one's born trans. All I'm saying is people need to see what the long game is here for them. It doesn't just start and end with them getting into women's sports. Women's sports is what they're fighting for now, but they succeed, then they'll be fighting for something else. So it's best you get in on the ground floor now and push back against this, than just instead of sitting on the sideline and saying, oh, this isn't my problem. Ladies, you best believe this is your goddamn issue right now, especially for those who are advocating for it, such as the one you see on your screen. I've kept saying that it's too many women out here who are advocating for this nonsense, and the more and more I say it, it seems like the more and more it escalates. But someone needs to pull Britney Griner to the side and like, look, we understand that you spend a long time in Russia for whatever, but don't come back here with this bullshit. Yes, we know you are in the academy. However, don't make it harder for the rest of us. And when I say rest of us, I'm talking on the behalf of her team. You got to think, Britney Griner may be a franchise player, but she's not the only person on that team. What do you think her team is thinking about this? What do you think her team has to say about this? Oh, and speaking of stories, do y'all remember that one I talked about? I think it was last year when you had that trans that was in that cheerleading camp down in Texas. First of all, the problem I had with that, one of the issues I had with that besides the obvious, was that this person was in their 20s and this was a camp that was for teens. I'm like, you're like 25 and you're at a cheer camp for teenage girls. Like I thought that was a cutoff number. Why were you there? And then remember, one of the girls at the camp had told this trans person that they were a man. They got so upset with that girl, mind you, this person's like 25, and went over and hit. I don't know if they slapped them or hit her, but I believe the girl was like 14 or 15 years old, somewhere around that time, around that age. Either way, it was a bad look because one, you're a grown man masquerading as a girl, literally, because you weren't supposed to be at that camp anyway. Two, that's assault because you smacked or hit this girl because she said what the truth was, that you was a dude. That's the other problem that you're going to run into, is you're going to have, see, they think that if they make it all inclusive for trans women, quote unquote, to come, because let's be real here, when they talk about this, they're talking about the people who were born men who are transitioning into a woman. You rarely hear about it the other way around. You are making a dangerous precedent, not only for the people around them, but for them as well. Because not everybody's going to be on board. Just because you feel they should be included doesn't mean everyone's going to be on board. But then that's when the bullying tactics kick in. And they'll start saying, oh, you should be on board with this because we said so, and if you're not, you're transphobic. Listen, you're going to keep on saying that until you blue in the face, but many people are tired of hearing it, and many people just don't give a damn. So if you're going to be upset, just be upset. Another question I had is, what do they stand to gain from this? Like, what's the point? Like, why are you doing all of this? I mean, besides the attention, because clearly it's for attention, and you're trying to, I guess you're trying to make a statement or whatever. What is the true end game? What is your goal from this? What are you trying to do? Because, like I said, as far as I can see, you're just infiltrating something that's already there that's not meant for you. Like I said, we have given out solutions of just starting your own league. Apparently, y'all have all these resources. Use them. Form your own league. But like I said before, when I said this, they know many will not support it. Well, my thing is this: how do you know people are going to support this? Because because honestly, the WNBA doesn't have that much support as it is. They have a small bracket of fans. And if they do this, what makes you think they're going to continue to support? Because truth be told, not everyone in the academy supports that. They came to pay and see actual women play, not those masquerading. If they wanted to do that, they would just go to an NBA game or a men's college basketball game or NFL game. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves here. That's what they would do. But oh no, we have to rewarp everything and change it to our liking. And one last thing I wanted to add in here is when Britney said that it was a crime to ban trans people from competing in biological women's sports. Watch out for that. While I could easily say that was stupid or dumb for her to say, be careful of that. The reason why I say is because they could easily pass some legislation today and say that it is a crime and it is illegal. And then before you know it, they're going to have no choice but to allow them to join, or they're going to face all kinds of fines and penalties. Not ones that I'm sure that these leagues are not going to want to have to pay. If they don't have to pay it, why would they want to? So be careful with that. When she said it's a crime to ban them from competing in biological women in sports. Now, of course, the NBA and the NFL and all male sports, they'll be fine because, you know, they're not going over there. But you got to think the WNBA, they are already hanging on by a thread, if in so many words. If they decided that they didn't want to do it, the WNBA would be gone like that. If they pass some legislation saying it is a crime to ban trans from joining biological women's sports, and they said, hell no, we're not doing that, the WNBA would cease to exist. When you think about the salaries that these women get paid, I'm just talking about the salaries. I'm not talking about any endorsements should they have any, just the salary. There are people who work regular blue collar jobs who make more than they do. That's saying a lot. Some of their fans who come to the games make more money than they do. They have a smaller league and a smaller window for their scheduling as far as their season. Remember, the WNBA is only a summer sport that starts in May and ends in September, whereas the NBA runs from October and runs to June. And I'm including the playoffs and the championships, of course. So be very wary of when she says that, because they might actually try to put something on the books. And this will only affect women's sports on a professional level, but also on a collegiate level and a high school level, or any sport where it's female centered or female dominated or female only. Let them put something on the books and saying that it is illegal and it's a crime not to include them. I don't know what'll happen then. I don't know what will happen then. It's something you don't want to dwell on, but it's also something you don't want to have too far from your mind either.